Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. My name is Allie and welcome to the top comment where I read and react to insane internet chaos in the form of Reddit stories. So if you like this type of content, please don't forget to subscribe. It is totally free and it means a lot to me. Wedding season is in full swing, y'all, and you know what that means. Moms wearing white to their son's wedding, vegan cake, wedding drama, last minute cancellations, grooms showing up with brides who they weren't initially engaged to. From petty to simply outrageous, this week's stories prove that the biggest disaster isn't always in the weather, but more so the guest list. We are talking about crazy, chaotic weddings in this week's mashup episode. Be sure to stick around till the very end. I do have some bonus stories for you guys, and if you've already watched Tuesday and Thursday's episode, use the timestamps listed below, and you can skip around as much as you want, but we are going to get right on into it. Our first story today comes from a subreddit called r/wedding shaming, and it says, "My wedding photographer was a total disaster. AI distortions, phone edits, and total unprofessionalism. Please learn from my nightmare." I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am, and I wanted to share my story so no one else ends up in the same nightmare. I hired a photographer for my wedding, which was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, and the experience was a complete disaster. The photos we received were full of what looked like AI glitches, pixelation, and bizarre editing choices that somehow made me look like I had gained 30 pounds. It was devastating and genuinely made me feel sick. After consulting with a real professional photographer, I learned that she shot the entire event in JPEG only, not in RAW. For anyone unfamiliar, RAW is the standard for professional photography because it captures full detail and allows for proper editing. JPEG is compressed and naturally loses its quality immediately. But wait, it gets worse. It seemed she edited all of our wedding photos on her phone. No professional equipment, no calibrated monitor, no proper editing workflow. She claimed the photos looked fine on her screen, but of course they completely fell apart when viewed properly. When I raised my concerns, instead of taking responsibility, she flooded me with excuses, blaming her new computer, her children, and even a funeral. She also refused to provide the original JPEG files, which I requested to at least try to salvage the photos of the professional editor. To make matters worse, she said she would only respond to the person who paid, which was my father-in-law, as if I, the bride in the photo, had no rights over my own wedding images. Unbelievable. This experience has caused me huge stress and heartbreak. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. So please, if you're planning a wedding or hiring a photographer for any important event, I beg of you to do the following. Make sure they shoot in RAW, confirm they edit on professional equipment, ask to see full galleries, not just highlights. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. Learn from my painful mistakes and protect your memories. Some damage is just irreversible. I'm curious to know where did you find this photographer? Again, did we use Craigslist? Have we not learned anything? You guys got to be checking these things out. I'm really sorry that your wedding pictures got ruined. I wonder if you could take like the messed up images and send them off to a professional photographer and have them like work their magic on it. Cause like AI can be a really cool thing if it's used right. I mean, you know, just go find somebody who knows how to use it and see if they can touch up your images and make them look better. I wouldn't necessarily give up hope right away, but on to the photographer. I'm sorry, you're gonna blame your computer, your children, and a funeral? Like, girl, pick a lane and stay in it. And also, she edited these on her phone. When I hear that, I think of like, you know, when you go into the Photos app on your iPhone and you can edit through there and it just has like the most basic editing options. I'm getting the sense that that's how she's editing. But also for wedding photography, dog, she probably paid $1.5 ton for these photos just to have them be janky, and to edit them on her phone is so unprofessional. And to not tell you that ahead of time too, like, I feel like you almost shouldn't have to ask those questions because that should just be like standard, right? but I guess not. So if anyone's out there getting married, I mean, you might want to triple, quadruple check with them and make sure that everything they say is up to date and good and fits your standards. Let's go ahead and jump on into the comments and see what everyone else has to say. The top comment says, I'm curious where you found them, what work you saw, and what the consultation and price discussion was like. Is there anything in the contract that may at least get you a partial refund? That's a great question. Probably not. I mean, I think photos are one of those things that like once they're delivered, they're kind of delivered. It's almost like food, you know, where like tough luck if you didn't like your food 2 weeks later. But I also feel like OP was very deceived just from the one side of the story that we're getting here. The next comment says, oh, she got what she paid for, just not what she expected. That truly sucks. How did you find her? Why is there no backstory on how you found her? I'm really curious about that. The next comment says, okay, hold up. Tell me everything you know about proper editing workflow. OP responded to this comment and said, well, for starters, a proper editing workflow means there are no random blue patches on people's faces, no white flowers turning green, and no images that look like they were run through a blender. Oh, and it'd be great if people's eyes were actually still visible for the final photos. Bare minimum, right? Ooh, she got 55 downvotes for this. Someone else responds and says, workflow is the process of doing the work. It's just the how. You're talking about the result, which is ultimately important. I think using the specific wording is just confusing. You can say the work is bad without getting concerned about her process. Sorry, your photos are bad. People are ripping OP to shreds in the comments and downvoting her like crazy on this. The last comment on here says, oof, maybe she's just into portrait photography and not actual events. As I said, completely different specialty. Better to pick straight up wedding people for wedding events. Yeah, it would be like hiring me to come shoot your wedding when I'm used to just shooting pictures of straight up weed in Colorado. I wouldn't do a very good job at that, but I think there's probably still a way to salvage your pictures. You just might have to do a little bit of deep digging and probably pay a little bit more money for it. But this is why we quadruple check every single thing before we do it, you guys. You can never be too safe, especially on a big event like your own wedding. All right, y'all, we are going from wedding shaming to straight up wedding judging. This one comes from Am I the A-hole? And it says, am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my sister's therapy after she ruined my wedding? Okay, so here's the deal. A 29-year-old woman wedding was supposed to be the best day of my life, right? You know the drill, months of planning, stress, money, all that stuff. My sister, who's a 25-year-old woman, was my maid of honor, and she's always had that flair for drama, but I figured she could keep it together for one day. Spoiler alert, she didn't. Fast forward to the big day, everything's going smoothly until the reception. My sister gets wasted, like falling over, crying, causing a scene wasted. She starts ranting about how I always got everything I wanted and how my wedding is just another example of me being the golden child in front of all my guests, including my in-laws. But wait, it gets worse. She actually grabs the mic during the speeches and starts going off about her struggles and how it's not fair that I'm happily married when she's single. At my wedding. The whole vibe turned awkward and my husband's family was just shocked. People started leaving early and I spent the rest of the night trying to put out fires instead of enjoying what was supposed to be our special day. Now, weeks later, my parents say my sister is struggling with her mental health. No shit. Really? You don't say. And they want me to pay for her therapy? Their reasoning is that since I'm the successful one, I should help out and how it would show that I'm a good sister. But like, she ruined my wedding. I don't think I should have to foot the bill for her meltdown. I'm still angry about the whole thing, and honestly, I feel like she owes me an apology first. But my parents think I'm being cold-hearted and that it's my responsibility to support her. They're pressuring me hard, but I just don't think it's fair to ask me to pay for something she clearly needs to take accountability for. So, am I the a-hole? Are you kidding me? Your parents! No, you're not the a-hole. Good God. No, you're not the a-hole. Your sister has some really messed up problems. Like, I'm sorry she's struggling with her mental health. I, of all people, know what that's like, but I would never ruin somebody's wedding because of it. Be serious. Where is accountability going? Is accountability dying? Is it dead? Is accountability actually dead? Are we living in a time where people are just entitled assholes? Your parents suck. Your sister's a lunatic. I'm so sorry for you. No, you are not the a-hole. The judge has decided and it's official. The top comment on this one says, not the a-hole. It seems your sister is not your only problem. Tell your parents one firm no and then refuse to discuss it anymore. That comment has 11,000 upvotes and I completely agree with it. 100%. Kick them all to the curb. You really should have included her therapy bill with your catering invoice and sent it to your family to have them pay and say, here you go, since you ruined my wedding. Oh my God. It wasn't even a cry for help. It was a full-on Broadway audition. Are you serious right now? I'm mortified for you. The secondhand embarrassment over here is so thick. This is just exploding at someone's wedding is pathetic and then crying about your mental health afterwards. Can we just stop abusing the mental health card? Please. It is 2025. Let's all just take accountability for our own actions. OP responds to the top comment and says, I think you're right. I just need to say no and stop letting them guilt trip me. This is probably not the first time they have done this. Please go take care of yourself. These people are manipulative narcissists and I'm so sorry for you. The next comment says, she's not your responsibility. If anything, why aren't your parents help her? How about you just try not ruining somebody's wedding and then maybe somebody would help you with your therapy. She's not your tax write-off. And quite frankly, I don't think you owe her anything if she still hasn't even apologized to you. This story is making my blood boil. OP responds and says, they're acting like it's all on me because I'm more stable or whatever. Okay, so when did becoming the stable sibling become a punishment as well? The next comment says, she doesn't need to be raised. She needs someone to light a fire under her ass. A little louder for the sister in the back who clearly can't hear it over her own wallowing in self-pity. The last comment says, I wish people would stop abusing the mental health card. Honestly, there you go. Mental health is just as real as accountability is. Again, no, you're not the a-hole. So yeah, please. If she's not going to do it on her own, you can't do it for her. Sorry, you can't. Oh, sweet bean, what are you doing? What is he doing? You're so cute. My sweet little Roman. Oh my gosh, I am hitting this hammer so hard that I literally keep losing little gems. Like, look at this. You see it? These stories just make me so mad. All right, we're gonna move on from one a-hole to the next because this next one also comes from r/am I the a-hole, and it says, am I the a-hole for deciding to postpone the wedding over a comment my fiance made about my scar? I, a woman, have a visible scar on the side of my neck. It's been there for over 6 years and no one has ever commented or made any negative remarks about it. However, my fiance would make comments about my scar and make it seem like he's flirting. Like, for instance, complaining he had kissed every part of my body except my neck because of the scar and how the scar looked like a kid messed up such a great art, referring to my look. I told him I didn't appreciate it, even if he was using the scar to be flirty with me, but he insisted that he loves me anyway. Doesn't sound like it. Our wedding is approaching and I've been busy with the wedding planning. A few days ago, my fiance and my in-laws were talking about the wedding and they were talking about how we were going to be finally married. He laughed and said, I'm marrying you minus the scar. I was stunned when he said that, especially in front of his family. I was so upset that I got up and walked out of the room. We had a big fight and he kept saying I was being a drama queen and that he did nothing wrong. He doubled down when I said I'd consider postponing the wedding because of his comment, and then he called me crazy. His mom said that I'm obviously traumatized by my scar to let it ruin my marriage with her son and suggested therapy. She told me that the scar was the issue, not her son who loves me as I am and chose me to be his wife. I don't know. I feel really horrible right now. I don't know if I said the right thing about postponing the wedding and whether I'm overreacting in this situation. My girlfriends have previously said that my fiance shouldn't even be bringing up the scar like that at all. No, you're not the a-hole, but yeah, you are in the wrong for postponing the wedding. Why didn't you just cancel it? Why is it postponed? Why did you not cancel the wedding? This man doesn't like you. He's bullying you and making fun of your looks. You are marrying your bully. Don't marry him. Call the whole damn thing off and go find somebody who appreciates your beauty and your uniqueness for what it is. You're not the a-hole. I hope you call off the wedding. I hope to God we can go through these comments and see that you called off this wedding, because if not, my head just might explode on this camera right now for the whole world to see. You're marrying him minus the respect I see. And then his mom suggesting therapy to you. No, Susan, how about you go get therapy? How about you go get therapy because you're a creepy boy mom? And girl, if you feel bad right now, imagine how terrible you are going to feel for the rest of your life married to him. Are you going to have kids? Do you want kids? If you were planning on having kids, what if you have a daughter? What if she needs open heart surgery when she's a baby and then she has a scar going down her chest for the rest of her life? Is he going to bully her too? Are you going to sit around and let him bully your own flesh and blood? I don't think so. I think you need to leave him. This man really said, I love you despite your flaw, and then expects it to be like, what? Does he expect a standing ovation out of it? This man is trash. Dump his ass. The top comment says, not the a-hole. Tell him I want to marry you, but my scar does not. The next comment says, the fact that they are acting like he's doing you a favor by marrying you with a scar, major red flag. Yeah, it's giving you're damaged, but I guess I'll settle for you anyways. He's a bully. He's a straight bully. I hate bullies. The next comment says, better yet, my scar doesn't want to marry you and it's convinced me not to either. Yeah, just tell him it's whispering in your ear at night that you need to leave. Go full on crazy mode, girl. You need to get out of this relationship yesterday. Please tell me you called off the wedding. Oh my God. The last comment we're going to read on this one says, my wife has a big scar from open heart surgery. I'm grateful for it. It saved her life. See, now that's what true love looks like. He's just disgusting. You need to take him, pick him up, crumple him like a piece of paper and toss him into the trash can and then yell, Kobe! And just never look back. Go find somebody who loves you for you. And 6 years? You have put up with this for 6 years? Oh, honey, please go find someone better. You're worth so much more. I don't even know you, but this man is just garbage. What's the worst thing you've ever seen happen at a wedding? The top comment says, at a cousin's wedding, my uncle was smashed and thought he had a stroke in the bathroom as he couldn't straighten himself. Turns out he'd buttoned his waistcoat up to his trousers and just simply couldn't stand up. The next comment says, the entire wedding party was drunk by 5 p.m. Grooms passed out, brides spilled mimosa, bridesmaids lost their shoes. I hand fed the groom a ham sandwich to revive him and still made it to the reception. They gave me wine and leftover cake. I miss them. That's not a wedding. That is a full-on side quest. Hand feeding him a ham sandwich. Don't get that drunk on your wedding day. Don't you want to remember it? Do you guys not black out when you drink? The next comment says, best man proposed to the maid of honor during his speech. They're now divorcing. 3 things that you don't do at somebody else's wedding. Wear white, cry in the middle of your speech about how your life sucks and you're jealous of your sister, and propose to somebody else. Let them have their day. Stop stealing the thunder from everybody all the time. It's obnoxious. We all clock you on it all the time. Just imagine hijacking somebody else's wedding only to then get divorced. How embarrassing. You should be so embarrassed. The next comment says, the groom's family gave a speech roasting him, told everyone he caused a car crash and put someone in a coma. That's not a roast. That's a criminal confession. What? At his wedding? You couldn't have waited and done it a different time. You had to do it at his wedding. Oh, that's brutal. All right. The last comment says, bride found groom making out with his ex in the parking lot during the reception. Full fight broke out. He got stuck with all the bills. Well, it sounds like he kissed her and his security deposit goodbye with this one. That is atrocious. If you still have feelings for somebody, don't marry someone else. Okay? Just don't. We'll add that to the list. That'll be number 4 of things not to do at a wedding. My mother wants to wear white to my wedding. And this is a write-in from the groom. It comes from r/wedding shaming. And it says, my mother is a tricky one. When she asked what color she should wear to my upcoming wedding, I just said avoid white and light blue, which are the bridesmaids' color. She had gone and bought a white dress with some line work, light floral blue print on it. I haven't actually seen it. I've just heard the description. So I asked her if she could send me a picture of it. After a day of leaving me on red, she replied with, "No, that's not appropriate for you to ask me." She then stopped responding to my texts altogether. I then messaged my dad and he wouldn't send me a picture of it, but he pointed me in the direction of a photo of a jacket with a similar color makeup. I responded saying it was far too white for anyone, let alone the mother of the groom, to wear to a wedding. I then sent her a bunch of articles that discuss white printed dresses at weddings and what is and isn't appropriate. My dad responded with agreement that he now understands it's inappropriate, but my mom is stressed at work, so I might have to accept that she will wear it regardless. I'm absolutely fuming that they're unwilling to put me and my fiance's feelings above hers for just this one day in my life. Honey, this is not about a dress. This is about control. Your mother is a narcissist and is absolutely trying to steal your thunder on your big day. And by the way you wrote this, I'm guessing it's probably not the first time that she has made your special events all about herself and her own needs. And that's the definition of a narcissist. Your mom literally said, "Don't tell me what to wear to your own wedding." Don't invite her. If she's going to show up in it anyways, don't invite her. Just don't have her be part of it. Tell her that you love her and you're sad that she's not going to be able to go, but that you're not going to have this type of chaos and drama happen at your own wedding. It's not only massively disrespectful to you, but it's especially disrespectful to your future wife, who is most likely going to be wearing white if you told her not to wear white. It's just inappropriate. Don't wear white to other people's weddings. I really think you should disinvite her. If she does choose to wear it, then anybody at that wedding is legally allowed to spill wine all over it accidentally, and that's just the law. I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. Like your dad saying that she's so stressed at work, does he think that that's just gonna Uno reverse and make you say, "Oh, okay, well then it's fine"? Just because you're stressed, you don't get to take it out on your own son. Like okay. The fact that he won't take a picture of it and send it to you is also kind of sus. And maybe he doesn't deserve to be invited either if he's going to clearly stand up for her and have her back. You've set firm boundaries, and if she doesn't want to respect them, then she has to deal with the consequences of that action. The top comment on this one says, "She has clear guidance. She picked a dress that breaks both rules. She won't send a photo. That's not stress. That's an agenda. If you don't put your foot down and you end up letting your mom disrespect your fiance, you're starting your marriage off in a bad way. Tell her straight. If she wears the dress, she does not come. The venue staff will be informed." This is the exact type of boundary enforcing backbone that you need. You do need to inform all the staff. Even if she agrees not to wear the dress, you should probably inform them, because obviously your dad's going to be no help. He's just going to continue to enable her weird behavior. The top comment on this one says, "Obviously I don't know your mom, but considering 1, she had clear guidance from you on what not to wear, 2, had millions of options but purposely chose something that broke both of the simple rules you gave her, and 3, won't talk about it, this tells me she's done this with her agenda to hurt your fiance and or make some kind of point at the wedding. When you choose to marry someone, you're choosing to put them first in your life. If you don't put your foot down about this and let your mother's antics come before your fiance's feelings, you're starting off your marriage in a bad way. You either need to call her, leave a voicemail, or better yet, send a video message making it clear. She is not wearing that dress. She is not wearing those colors, and if she does, she will not be allowed to attend the wedding. She can either be a supportive mother of the groom and new mother-in-law, or she cannot attend at all. No ifs, ands, or buts. Tell her the staff of the venue will be told to deny entry if she breaks the very simple, respectful, easy to follow rules that you have made on her attire." Yeah, babe, that's not a dress code issue. It's a power play. It's manipulation. And like this commenter said, I'm so sure this isn't the first time that she's either tried to intentionally hurt you or your fiance. It seems a little bit more directed at your fiance, honestly, just because she is the one wearing white and she is the one that's going to take the most amount of disrespect, I guess. I mean, it is pretty disrespectful to you too, because you're setting clear boundaries and she's just habitually crossing them. And if that's the case, she's just going to have to sit there and suffer and deal with the consequences of her own actions by not being invited to her son's wedding. Period. End of story. The next comment says, "I would also point out that all of the other guests will believe she's being horribly rude. Treat her accordingly and talk negatively about her during the entire event. Will she be comfortable with people pointing and whispering? I told my friend to use this with a family member and it worked." She wants to be the center of attention, but that's not being the center of attention in the way that you think it is, honey. People are going to absolutely shame you. And OP, if you allow phones in your wedding, somebody's going to take a picture and she's going to end up going viral on the Reddit. And then she's going to end up on my show and we're all going to sit here and shame her because that's what she deserves if she's gonna pull a move like that. We all know not to wear white to a wedding, right? Unless you're specifically asked. Like, right? Right? The last comment says, and likely more than one guest or bridesmaid eager to change the color of that dress, especially after the alcohol starts flowing. Dress will become some shade of burgundy pretty damn quick. That's what I said, and that's the law. So if they want to do that and help out the bride and make her feel better on her big day, I'm all for it. Nothing like red wine revenge. Am I right? The next story also comes from wedding shaming, and it says, was canceled at a guest at the last moment. And then the flare on this one just says tacky. We got the save the date for my niece's wedding earlier this year in January, I think. It said, we are going to say yes and we want to do that with you there. I called to congratulate, bought an engagement gift, etc. We talked about seeing her give her vows in a white dress and everything. Every time I saw her, I told her how excited I was for the wedding. I declined several invites from friends for a weekend getaway that weekend. Bought a plane ticket for my boyfriend. We've been together for 24 years. He's known my niece since she was a baby, and we also booked a hotel room. Last night I get a text that due to costs, I'm only welcome at night. No, not for the actual party. No, just for drinks at her parents' house after the event. My niece will be there for around an hour to collect her gifts from the people who can't make it to the party. Mind you, over the years, I've been to each of her birthdays, graduations, and housewarmings since she was born 25 years ago. I've probably spent thousands of dollars on her, but she can't be bothered to even invite me to the ceremony. She does have enough money for a wedding planner though. Yeah, so I've canceled the room and my boyfriend and I will be visiting friends when he comes by. We've decided to keep the plane ticket. The wedding is in 4 weeks. That's not downsizing. That's disrespectful. I'm sorry that happened to you. Good for you guys for keeping your plane ticket and going on a vacation anyways, but I don't blame you one bit for canceling the hotel room. I wouldn't want to go either, just for an hour. That's so rude. You are clearly a huge part of her life, and that's just really shitty. I mean, she really said no gift and possibly a Venmo request from her. She is unhinged bridezilla territory for sure. The top comment on this one says, I'd give a gift, a completely paid for etiquette class or etiquette book, because what the f. The next comment says, I'm downsizing your invitation, but don't downsize my gift. Obnoxious. Obnoxious, entitled, and just tacky. I totally see where that flare came from. The next comment says, get a book of manners to gift her and skip the hour she graces you with her presence. Ugh, it's just the whole, I'll be there for 1 hour to collect my gifts. Like, you are a snotty little brat. Weddings either bring out the worst or the best in people. And clearly it's bringing out the absolute worst in this bridezilla. The last comment says, that's just trashy. If you really do need to downsize your wedding for cost reasons, there are so many better ways to do it. She just wants the gifts. Tell me you're just in it for the money without telling me you're just in it for the money, you little grifter. That's horrible. To do that to your own family. Why? She doesn't want you there? Really? She's gonna be okay with looking back at all those pictures and not seeing her cousin there who was in her life for so many years? What a tragedy. All right, this next story comes from Am I the A-hole? And so yes, we will be judging. It says, am I the a-hole for refusing to label my wedding cake as vegan because a friend felt tricked? My husband, a 32-year-old man, and I, a 30-year-old woman, had a vegan wedding because we're both vegan. We made it clear in advance that the food and cake would be plant-based, and no one complained until the reception. The cake was gorgeous, 3 tiers decorated with edible flowers. Towards the end of the night, one of my husband's aunts, Linda, came up to me looking visibly upset. She said it was disrespectful to have a vegan cake on display because she felt like I was pushing my lifestyle on everyone. I told her the cake wasn't meant to make a statement and it was just the dessert we chose for our wedding. She insisted I either move the cake off the main table or add a sign saying it was vegan so people weren't tricked into eating it. I refused because 1, it was my wedding, 2, it's a cake, not propaganda, and 3, no one else seemed to care. Linda ended up storming out, and now my in-laws are saying I should have compromised to avoid drama. I think Linda's reaction was ridiculous, but my husband thinks I could have just put up a sign to keep the peace. Am I the a-hole? A vegan cake is not a crime. You're not forcing your lifestyle on anyone. You're literally vegan. What does she expect you to do? Put a non-vegan cake at a vegan wedding and expect you, a vegan, to eat a non-vegan cake? Make it make sense, please. Like, girl, it's a dessert, not a political statement, and it's not your wedding, and you don't have to eat the cake if you don't want it. Also, you literally told them ahead of time that it was going to be vegan. And if she's your aunt and she knows you, she knows you're a vegan, right? I think she forgot to plug in her single brain cell for the day because clearly she just has no common sense. No, you're not the a-hole. Duh. The top comment on this says, not the a-hole, the whole thing was vegan. It was your wedding, your choice. I wouldn't feel tricked by eating a vegan cake at all. She has some serious issues. Let her seethe and be upset. You don't owe her anything. Putting up a sign would have rewarded her bad, entitled behavior. You had no reason to do it. Exactly. You don't get to pull a full temper tantrum over a cake that doesn't have eggs in it. Boo-hoo. The next comment says, they told everyone the wedding was going to be vegan. How stupid does she have to be surprised that the cake was also vegan? Reiterating everything I just ranted about. Like, what did she really think that it was made of? Rotisserie chicken? Aunt Linda, get your together, bro. You have some serious screws loose up in your head. The next comment says, I think labeling the cake for allergens would be good. Almond and soy are common ingredients for cakes, and they are also common allergens. But labeling a cake as vegan at a vegan wedding is silly if the whole wedding is vegan. You don't say. Allergies are definitely important to label, but it's also up to the guests with the allergy to let people know ahead of time. That's if it's your allergy, it's your responsibility. Linda can just go and eat her soggy ass McDonald's on the way home because I bet that's right where she went after this just to feel like she was making a statement in her own mind. Truly unhinged. The next comment says, not the a-hole. The only things you are obligated to include are allergens, dietary, and religious food exemptions. Being vegan, unless they are allergic to something like soy, is not something you have to put. In fact, it's actually more time consuming to label something vegan because every ingredient has to be outright vetted to be not animal based to be legally labeled as vegan in the first place. Just like kosher, there are rules and guidelines you have to follow. Linda is being incredibly ridiculous, and no, a sign to appease people is dumb and definitely not the move. I feel like you'd need a lawyer and a microscope to label it as vegan, but like, you know it's vegan. You're the one paying for it. You're the one who got it from the bakery that probably labeled it as vegan there. Like, it just, none of this makes sense to me at all. The last comment on here says, not the a-hole. Should you also put a sign up if you serve broccoli? You're not tricking anyone into eating something they're allergic to or tricking vegans into eating a non-vegan cake. This is just absent of certain ingredients. The horror. Like, imagine needing a trigger warning for a piece of tofu. Some people really are afraid of plants, and it shows. This is giving child who doesn't want to eat their green beans energy. All right, I've had enough of Linda and her big childish games. We are going to move on, and this one is coming from Ask Reddit. It is 10 days old, and it says, people who have left their partner the day of the wedding, what happened? The top comment on this one says, my cousin's backyard shotgun wedding. She changed her mind because they got into a fight that morning. My uncle still made barbecue and it just turned into a typical family hangout. They got married the next weekend anyway. Not a very exciting story. They're still married 22 years later and have 3 kids though, so that's something. That has 28,000 upvotes on it, so clearly it was something of a story. And the real win here is that you got to enjoy brisket twice. The next comment says, we called it non-wedding. It was very small and in our backyard, and when we showed up, a relative of the groom ushered us out back and whispered that the wedding was off, but they had all this food and to help ourselves. Apparently, just that morning, the groom found out that the bride banged the stripper at her bachelorette party, but his family said they'd already spent all the money on the party, so they would just tell people when they arrived. It was one of the most awkward experiences of my life because the groom just sat there in a chair while people tried to cheer him up. We ate a little out of obligation and then got the hell out of there. 19,000 upvotes. Oh my God, that is a nightmare. The next comment says, a colleague of my husband texted him about a week before the wedding saying something cryptic like, if I'm in Key West on Friday, the wedding isn't happening. So he was clearly having thoughts prior to, but social media showed that the rehearsal dinner happened the night before the wedding and he was there, so we figured he'd gotten over it. We had family in town and weren't planning to attend the wedding anyways, but my husband texted a congratulatory message later on in the day. Guy responded from Key West. He did not show up for the ceremony. His excuse was that she wouldn't sign the prenup. The reality was that he was already seeing someone else. He RSVP'd to the cheating, not to the ceremony. I feel bad for whoever his bride is. To show up at the rehearsal dinner the night before and then not show up to the wedding is just especially diabolical. The next comment says, my friend did this like 20 some years ago. She was engaged to a guy from a very well-off family. The wedding was in California, but they were living in Seattle. Very posh, very expensive. But the mother-in-law was always a bitch to her. Right at the beginning of the reception, the mother-in-law came up and said some nasty things to her in a whisper, thinking that she would just take it again. She lost it. Families got involved, and she ended up on a plane back to the Pacific Northwest that night. Her family had already started moving her things out of the apartment that evening, and she never spoke to him again. You know it's bad when your exit strategy has already started preloading the van before you're even on the airplane. Honestly, her family is so iconic for that, like zero hesitation. The last comment says, my brother went to this engagement party. Everything was great, nothing out of the ordinary. Wedding comes around 3 months later. He shows up and it's a totally different bride. Same groom, same date, same invite, just new bride. No explanation. I'm sorry, that's not a plot twist. That's a whole new season of The Bachelor. Same groom, different bride. Did you have to RSVP twice? That is messy. Y'all are messy on this app. All right. Bonus story number 1 comes from r/AITAH, and it says, am I the a-hole for walking out of my sister's engagement dinner and refusing to attend her wedding after she humiliated me at the dinner in front of my boyfriend, our family, and her future in-laws? My sister, a 30-year-old woman, had her engagement dinner at our parents' house a month ago. I, a 26-year-old woman, was there with my boyfriend, a 26-year-old man. It was our side of the family, our parents, both sets of grandparents, and 5 aunts and uncles. And her future in-laws, fiance's parents and siblings, his 3 living grandparents, and like 10 aunts and uncles. It was a huge event. My sister's fiance made some comments about wanting to get to know me and my boyfriend better, and saying we should meet up before the wedding to hang out. My boyfriend and I were on board with this, but my sister was seriously quiet, and then she said we would be doing nothing like that. She said I had already stolen one guy from her and I wasn't gonna do it again. This was followed up by her blaming me for her ex-fiance breaking up with her because he liked me. Context on that, this is when my sister was 20 and her ex was 21 and I was 16. I never did a thing with him and never would have. My sister was distant with me after that relationship breakdown and she confronted me about it at the time, and I told her nothing happened. I sorta knew she didn't believe me, but always thought she'd get over it. Well, apparently not. My parents blew a fuse at dinner when she brought this up. They were disgusted she accused me at 16 of stealing a 21-year-old man. They told her it was her fault for all of that. She told them I was so smug and figured I could get away with it, but I am nothing but a whore. My boyfriend jumped to my defense and I told him I just wanted to leave. I felt humiliated, honestly, especially when I had already denied anything happening and it was 10 years later that she was with someone else. I was told a week ago that they have a date for the wedding set and I'll be invited. I told the relatives who told me that I won't be going. Then I had some blowback from the family who told me walking out of the dinner was bad enough, but not going to the wedding is several steps too far and that we're still sisters no matter what. So, am I the a-hole? I definitely don't think so. You were 16 and he was 21. What she should have done is kick his ass out and tell him to stop being such a creep, hitting on a minor like that, and she still wanted to marry him, and then also calling a 16-year-old a whore. Ew. There's an edit from OP that says, edit, clarifying that my parents are not expecting me to go. My parents have been very supportive and are on my side and reminded everyone that I was 16 when my sister claims I did this. It was such a gross thing. It's extended relatives who are expecting me to go because we're sisters. The top comment says, not the a-hole. I wouldn't go to the wedding unless she apologizes in front of the same people she made the scene in front of. Yeah, we're gonna need a full ass genuine apology, not just some fake influencer, cry on camera type bullshit. I mean, she really needs to apologize, and she should probably go to therapy and get help for whatever is causing her to act this way, because this is not normal behavior at all. Someone else responds and says, as the saying goes, let the apology be just as loud as the disrespect. I like that. I've never heard that before, but very insightful and very true. I can't believe she hasn't said sorry. I can't believe she's a grown 30-year-old woman who doesn't know when to apologize and not berate her little sister for something that happened a decade ago. Someone else just says, with behavior like that in front of the fiance, I wouldn't count on there being a wedding at all. How are you not embarrassed? How are you not completely mortified that you acted this way, girl? In front of her fiance? Oh man, it's just so cringe. The secondhand embarrassment is just so real with this one. Someone else comments, she called her 16-year-old little sister a whore. Why would anyone think she was going to her wedding now? And then OP responds to this and says, because it's just what you do according to the relatives who expect me to go. Why are they all trying to force you to go? If your sister did a non-sisterly thing and let some creepy 21-year-old that she was engaged to prey on her 16-year-old sister and then blamed her for it, that's not family in my eyes. The last comment says, I'm surprised she's still getting married after that. While the fiance seems reasonable, her outburst is a huge red flag. At the time I'm reading this story is only 4 hours old. So OP, if you're out there, give us an update, girl. Let us know what happens. I'll keep an eye on this one, and you guys do too. I'm going to link all the stories in the description right underneath this video, so you can check them out. And if you guys see an update, definitely comment and let me know if I haven't seen it yet. All of my socials are in my description. You guys can get a hold of me there or in the comments below, whatever. But if you guys see an update, seriously let me know. I'm so interested to keep up with this one. OP, I think you are amazing for setting boundaries and standing your ground, and I wouldn't go to this wedding either. It seems like your sister kind of maybe doesn't like you or holds some type of very deep, profound resentment, and you can't take your bad days out on people. It's just not appropriate. I just realized I'm not wearing any of my rings. I feel so naked. BRB. I'm back. All right, the last story we're gonna read for today also comes from r/wedding shaming, and it says, relatives offended because our wedding made them feel cheap. Just to give some context, my wife and I are very fortunate to both make six figures. We had also lived together for about a year before our engagement, so we already had all the household stuff we needed and didn't really feel like we wanted to ask for more. So for our wedding, we purposefully didn't have a registry, and in our invitation, we specifically said that gifts are not required. Your presence is the greatest present. We also did this to minimize the expenses for our guests, hoping many of our friends and family would come and celebrate with us as possible. We also have a card box at the reception table for guests to write well wishes and slide their cards in. Apparently, some of my wife's relatives thought it was a subtle way to ask for money. It wasn't. So they felt obligated to put cash and checks in the envelopes. Afterwards, my wife and I overheard them complaining to my mother-in-law that it made them feel cheap, like the wedding was a fundraiser or a transaction. My wife almost burst into tears, so I stepped over and clarified that money was not asked or wanted. I offered to give them their envelopes back so they could remove their money. They refused, since what's done is done. They made the entire wedding awkward for us, made me feel like no good deed goes unpunished. So what if you were asking for money? Some people have a honeymoon fund or a baby fund or a vacation fund that they just ask for money like in an envelope, and the deed wasn't already done. It's not like you swiped your credit card. Checks can take like 5 to 7 business days to cash. So these people are just petty in a not good way. Like, I just think it's really sad when people can't come together for one day to celebrate other people. The top comment says, putting out a card box for a wedding is extremely common. Almost every wedding I've been to has done one. Giving money as a gift instead of gifts is pretty common, and it's usually what you'd expect. Your wife's family is unhinged. Someone else responds and says, yes, that and a guest book, both very common and modern things at weddings. Some people just want drama for the sake of drama. Sounds like they're just trying to cause a scene to divert the attention from you and your wife, and that really sucks. The next comment says, a decade ago, that would have upset me. Today, my reaction to reading this was, that sounds like their problem, not yours. At a certain point, it's not worth the effort to try and please other people. Yeah, but he was just standing up for his wife who was about ready to cry on their wedding day. I think in this case, he was right to stand up for her. The last comment says, what assholes? If you're not petty, ignore and limit contact. If you're petty, mail them back their checks with a note explaining you don't want them to feel cheap anymore, as obviously this feeling was so terrible they felt like they needed to put a damper on your wedding and make the bride cry. Is that really even being petty, or is that just the right thing to do? I mean, if you really want to be petty, you could include a little note that says, we don't need your charity donation. We make enough money on our own. That's being petty. But I don't know. I've never been to a bad wedding before, ever. I don't even know what a bad wedding would look like in person. So let me know in the comments. Have you ever been to a bad wedding? We're going to end the episode here today, but I will see y'all on Tuesday for the next one. Bye.